All right, guys. So I believe I'm recording. This is the second time I had to do this. Okay. We're learning about properties of real numbers and expressions and formulas. This is a two-part lesson. Okay. Expressions, formulas, and then properties of real numbers. Okay. I think you guys can see that. I gotta check maybe if I just move it a little bit closer. Sorry. This is going to be a learning experience. I'd like to put the PowerPoint slide up here, but I'm having so much technical difficulties, it's not funny. So I'm going to try my best. So I apologize if this first video is not the greatest. But I'm going to make sure you guys at least got what we did in class. Okay? So the PowerPoint's online. You can print that out. You can write stuff on. Use your own little notes for it. Okay? I also have a reference sheet that you can print out as well, or just keep it in your iPad saved. Okay? So we're going to use order of operations to evaluate expressions, and then we're going to use just basic formulas just to plug some numbers in and calculate. Okay? A lot of this is review, but I think it's a good thing, kind of like dust the cobwebs off, make sure we actually understand this. Okay? So order of operations, on my PowerPoint slide, that's what you should be seeing. Okay? When you do order of operations, you do everything in the grouping symbols, they say, which is parentheses. Okay? Evaluate all your exponents, multiply and divide left to right, and then for the final thing, you want to add or subtract left to right. Okay? Now, looking at this, left to right is very important. Okay? A lot of people forget that you do multiplication division together, but from left to right. Okay? So just please be careful with that. I don't want you to get these problems wrong because you missed that tiny little detail there. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and start with the first problem. Okay, so example 1, we have x minus y cubed plus 3, and x is 1, y is 4. Okay, so this isn't too bad of a problem. When you hear the word evaluate, think substitution. Okay, we're trying to figure out what this is going to equal to when the numbers are plugged into it. Okay, so it'll be 1 minus 4 cubed plus 3 is what we're looking at here. Okay, and let me just, like I said, this is a thing in motion, guys. Okay, I think I'm still recording. I hope I'm still recording. So we do what's in parentheses first. 1 minus 4. That's negative 3 cubed, okay, plus 3. And then negative 3 cubed. When you see the parentheses, you're keeping that negative every time you multiply. So it would be negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3, which becomes negative 27. Okay, that's what that does. Now, if you don't have parentheses there, it's completely different. Okay, and let me just do a quick side note for this. Negative 3 to the second power, let's say, okay? That's negative 3 times negative 3. And some people would say, oh, that's 9. It's not. You do the exponents first, 3 to the second power, you get 9, then you multiply it by the negative. This is actually negative 9 still, okay? If you type in your calculator, that's what you'll get as well. But if I put the parentheses around it, then yeah, it would be a positive because you're keeping that negative each time you go through it. So just a small side note, but I think it's very important that you guys know what that is. So add those together, and we get negative 24 as our final answer. Okay? Not too bad. Let's try the next problem. Okay? This one has a decimal, but that's okay. Decimals aren't too bad. N is 2, T is 3.4. Okay? So let's go ahead and plug these numbers in and evaluate the expression, okay? And feel free to pause the video at any time so you can do this yourself and then check. So it's going to be 2 minus 3.4, and in parentheses is 2 squared minus 3.4 there. Okay? Now what we do first is what's in the parentheses. So 2 minus 3.4, so this would be, and you know what, we're going to do this all together. I think we can do that. 2 squared is 4 minus the 3.4, I think that's going to be what, 6/10? Or 0.6? I probably should be saying it's 6/10. I think we're so used to saying point, and not correct, but I think we kind of know what we're saying now. Okay, this is what we have. Now my next step would just be to multiply, right? So it'd be 2 minus, multiply these guys together, and I think we get 2.04. Okay, I think that's going to be 400ths for that guy. Then the last step, subtract these two, and we get negative 400ths as our final answer for that guy. Okay? Please just be careful with negative numbers. I'm guilty of it too. When a negative number comes up, sometimes I just go through the problem too fast and I forget the basics of negatives. All right, that can happen. It really can. All right. Usually I ask you if there's any questions, but I can't. But if you do have questions, you can always email me or do stuff on Google Classroom comments. Let's do one more. Now, I'm not going to do every problem in the examples. I always put extra on there in case you need more practice. So I just want to be clear with that. So our last example, and then we'll do formulas. Okay? And x is 5, y is -2, and z is -1. Okay? That's our problem. I encourage you to pause the video so that way you can do this yourself. Let's go ahead and start plugging these numbers in, okay? So we have 8 times 5 times -2 plus -1 cubed over 2 squared plus 5, okay? When you do a fraction with all these like symbols and stuff, you want to simplify the numerator and then denominator separately, and then afterwards divide what's left. Okay? So 8 times 5 is 40, times -2 gives me -80. I'll break this apart a little bit. I'll add an extra step. And then we have -1 cubed, which I won't do yet. Here we got 2 squared, which is 4, plus the 5 gives me 9. Okay? Still, not that bad, right? Okay? -1 cubed, that's -1 times -1 times -1, still -1. So it becomes -81 on top over 9, which for our final answer just becomes -9. Okay? So once again, this is really a review from Algebra 1, but I think it's good just to do some practice, just to kind of get our algebra minds thinking, since we're so more in tune in geometry right now. Okay, so it's just trying to get you back into the swing of things. Now, I encourage you to look at the PowerPoint slides for the next 2 examples, which is the last 2 examples we're going to do. Just to show you, it's going to be on the trapezoid. Okay, it's this guy right here. So you don't need to write everything, you just need the formula and then what numbers we're plugging in. So we're going to find the area of a trapezoid. And if you recall, a trapezoid does have 2 bases, looks like this, okay? And it has a height. And they give us that, okay? The height was 13. One of the bases is 25, the other base is 13. And this is all measured in meters, okay? On the surface, this is just here's a formula, here are the numbers that go into that formula, plugging in, and then evaluate. And it is that straightforward, but always be careful. Don't rush into a problem. Make sure you're reading it correctly, okay? Because that's where mistakes can happen. So, we get half. Now the height is 13. The base would be 25 plus 13. Uh-oh. I don't think there's 2 13s. I think the height was, what, 8? I apologize. I don't know if you're screaming at home through your iPad, hey, it's 8, it's 8. I caught it now. All right? Don't be afraid to make mistakes either. You're going to see me make mistakes all the time. It's human. You know, No reason to be embarrassed by it. Okay, so we're going to solve the parentheses first. So that's going to be the 25 and 13, which gives us 38. Now notice, all we have is multiplication left. So does it matter what order that we do this in? No. So I'll do half of 8, which is 4, times 38. Okay? So our final answer, when we multiply those together, well, let's see. 4 times 30 is, what, 120? Then 4 times the 8 is 32. So I believe that would be what, 152? And don't forget the units, square meters. Okay, so that's the area of this trapezoid. Not too bad, right? Okay, we have one more area problem to wrap this up. Area of a pyramid. Okay? Well, not area, it's a volume. I misspoke. All right? So, and I would highly encourage you to take a look at the PowerPoint. In the next video, I hope to have the PowerPoint up here. It's just, every video I've recorded today has not worked out. I don't know why technology is hurting me today, but it is. Now, when you see capital B, if you remember, that represents base area. And if you look at the pyramid that's on the PowerPoint, the area of the base is a square. So you just multiply length times width. Okay? When you do that, you get 25. Okay? So just remember, that's area of the base. Okay? If you look back to our trapezoid problem, you see how they're lowercase b's? So it's very important that you differentiate between lower and capital letters when it comes to math. The height that they give us is 6. Okay? So once again, this is a simple just calculate problem. 1/3 times 6 would give me 2. And then 2 times 25 gives me 50. And they're measured in centimeters, so it'd be cubic centimeters because it's volume. Okay? And that's it, guys. All right, that's the first lesson. Just some evaluation, plug in some formula numbers, crunch some numbers, that type of thing. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm sorry the video got out late to you. It's just been a lot of tech issues. But I hope you guys are doing well at home, and we'll see you in the next video. All right? Take care.